Hi guys, I'm back again. This time around I'm going to review Bloomsbury Residences. So if you have never heard of this place, right, it's perfectly normal because people know more of this place as a work area and not many people actually live here, but there's a reason why as well. So the question is, who want to stay here? And you might be also thinking like, hey, this place is not near MRT, can I earn money or not? And I can tell you that you're not the only one who thinks this way. In fact, it's quite a common question in people's mind. And then for this project, for the 2-bed 1-bath, 2-bed 2-bath, what should I be focusing on? As well as the 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms, what should I be focusing on? Later on, I'll talk a bit more. So first up, about the locale of the place. Again, if you want to go straight to the numbers, feel free to fast forward to the 2-bed 1-bath section, where I'll explain what to look out for if you are buying this for investment. And coming back to this map, right, in case you haven't already know, this is at 1 North area, and the address is at 61, 63, and 65, Media Circle. So this area, right, is actually a short drive to AYE, over here. Okay, just go to Portsdown, make a right, and then you hit AYE. And then of course this one is also a short drive down to Lornie Road via Farrer. And as you can see from here, right, there are many nature touch points around the region. For example, we have the Alexandra Forest, we have the One North Park, we have the Science Park over here, and we're also very close to Singapore Botanic Gardens. And if let's say I were to drive from here, it takes me just a few minutes to get to town. And over here we have this Dempsey. Okay, let's say we go by Queensway. Okay, we make a right here, we have Dempsey and Orchard. And for more neighborhood stuff, you can actually head over to the Buona Vista or the Holland Village area. So in fact, Queenstown and Clementi are also very near. And in case you're wondering, right, there is an internal shuttle bus within One North itself. This will help you to get around because One North has many F&B outlets and a couple of supermarkets inside as well. And for Bloomsbury, they will be having a shuttle bus to the train station at One North. So this is exclusive to the residents at Bloomsbury Residences. Of course, One North area, in case you're not familiar, is also home to many international schools near the Dover area. So over here, we have schools like the INSEAD, we have UWC, we have ACS International here, and of course, just next to this Bloomsbury Residences, we also have Tanglin Trust School. So it's an area that actually a lot of people come to study, and there are a lot of overseas people coming over here, be it study or working, they're actually residing over here as well. So we can see from here, be it work, play, shop, or leisure, everything is not too far away, except for the airport lah. Okay, and this place falls under the Queenstown planning area. So in fact, there are a couple of BTOs that are already slated in this area, which is currently under construction. So I'll show you in this slide. For reference, Bloomsbury Residences is here. And then we have the HDB Queensway Canopy. We have the Queen's Arc. We also have Sterling Horizon. So these are the upcoming BTOs that will be built in the area. In fact, they are already under construction. And then over at this Commonwealth area, we have Tanglin Halt Cascadia, as well as this Tanglin Halt Courtyard. So recently, there are also quite a few MOP blocks over here at the Margaret Drive area. Sky Residence, Sky Oasis, and then not forgetting those around the Dawson area as well. So this area is not very far away from the Queensway and Commonwealth HDBs. Okay, and then when I look at this map over here, I was quite curious about these footprints. Because potentially, let's say if you can walk over to Commonwealth area, that would be very good. This particular point here, point A, is actually very close to Bloomsbury. So when I take a look at the Google Earth satellite images, we can see over here the first one is here. And then the second one is around this area. That means that, potentially from the black and white houses here, we call it the Wessex area, you can actually cross over to the Commonwealth region. And if you notice by now, there's also a line over here. Okay, so what is this line? That is actually the rail corridor, which actually spans from Woodlands all the way down to Tanjong Pagar. So this corridor, right, it can potentially connect 1 million residents who are staying within a 1 km radius. And of course, from visitors from all walks of life. And over at the Queenstown area, right, for Bloomsbury, this is actually very close to the Queensway node. There are some plans here that are already seen for Queensway node. Very likely, if they follow the plan, then there will be a large and covered space beneath the Queensway flyover. So the rail corridor trail will run through this site. And of course, from Bloomsbury, you can head over the corridor. You can go all the way down to Tanjong Pagar and all the way up to Hillview, Kranji area. Again, I will talk about the history and design of the place. Same thing, if you find this boring, always feel free to fast forward to the 2 bed 1 bath section if you want to go straight to the numbers. And if you happen to be around this area, this 1 North area or this Bloomsbury area, right, you will notice that this place still retains some of the colonial era buildings. This area was originally a strategic military base during the late 1940s, and lots of these barracks are still actually retained here in places like Rochester, Wessex and Cobar. So these places are now designated as a heritage district, reason being to so-called maintain or conserve these old buildings and as well to provide a low density in this part of the area. So why are these retained, right? Firstly, is for its historical value. Some buildings, they are old means they are old. There are certain characteristics to the house. Even if you tear away this whole building, you make a new one, right? The feeling is totally different already. Some of the materials you may not even be able to get it in this era. So that's why in Singapore we retain a lot of, or rather conserve a lot of like those shophouses and certain black and white bungalows. Reason being is because once we take them away, it's very hard to get them back anymore. And if we leave the original building there, there's a lot of flavors to the house. There's a lot of historical value, those cracks on the wall, the smell you get from the house, and things like that. All these you can never replicate when you tear down and build a new one. Secondly, right, this is actually a counterbalance for the high-rise, high-density nature of future developments seen in One North area. In fact, if you go to places like Chinatown, Tanjong Pagar, they have also retained the shophouses, right? So you have buildings, like for example in Tanjong Pagar, you have tall buildings and you also have short buildings in the form of the shophouses. So these are the balance that they want to have in these kind of places. Another thing we have to consider about is why did they make this One North area? Do they make this place for fun, or it just happened to be an empty land that Singapore can use to house all these tech companies, right? In my opinion, right, for Singapore we have a few growth drivers. Firstly, our main attraction is to attract global companies to use Singapore as a base to do business in the region. So when they come to Singapore, we support them by providing solutions in the form of financing, banking, making them easy to do business here, as well as protecting these companies in the form of legal frameworks and IP protection. And also we have the aviation, the shipping and the logistics to physically support the movement of goods and the transshipment. So from back then, right, back from last time, when we look ahead, technology, biotech and health science are actually set to be the next growth drivers from back then. Therefore, the fastest way to grow this industry is actually to invite global industry leaders to come to Singapore to create such local research houses so that we can have another growth driver on top of our banking, financing and our aviation, shipment and what's not. By inviting them to come to Singapore to create all these local research houses, we have to house them in a science park. That is actually the fastest way that we can learn from them. Therefore, Science Hub will actually be a centerpiece of R&D, akin to what Raffles Place was to be for the financial sector. And how do we make this science park? What will we incorporate in the science park? I feel that it's not so simple. They found out that there was a close relationship between academia and research. That means between schools and research houses, there's actually a very, very close relationship between them. It's important to create synergies through the mingling of these academics and private institutions. That's why Science Hub was to be positioned next to a university. And coming back to how did they actually design this whole One North area, if you are considering investing in this area, I feel that it's very important for you to know, because from here you will understand why are buildings designed a certain way and why certain things are placed a certain way, so that you can make informed decisions when it comes to your property investment. And studies have found out that these kind of urban workers in the tech sector, they actually prefer the urban environment rather than suburban environment. So that means that the buildings have to be new, to put it this way, and they actually want to enjoy being able to walk from their workplace to have a cup of coffee with other people, and a lot of them don't like to commute long distance to the work. They prefer to live close to their place of work. To carry out this whole vision of this whole area and to get the best ideas, right, they tender out the design proposals to world-class architectural houses to sort of design this place. This whole tender process was done in a two-envelope approach, meaning that they actually assess the design first rather than simply choosing the lowest price. So you know very much where the priority lies for the One North area. The eventual winner is none other than Zaha Hadid, and she's described by British newspapers as the Queen of Curves. And I also want to take this chance to give some credit to designers and architects, because a lot of time on the surface we only see like, this building is done up nicely and all, but actually a lot of thought is put into how nature and human interacts. Besides buildings alone, right, They have also planned towns like those seen here. So Singapore One North Master Plan is one of it. Okay, and fun fact, our new science center, which will be relocated to Chinese Garden MRT from its current premise, is also being planned by them. So even though she is no longer around, I believe her company is still in charge of planning this science center, and I look forward to that because my parents are staying very close to the area as well. So it's very easy for me to visit, and I used to visit science center as a child. To be honest, I feel that if you compare with the science centers around the world, it can really be much better. So I'm really looking forward to this new science center that will be upcoming at Chinese Garden MRT. And coming back to this winning tender, the goal of One North was actually to increase the chance of people interacting at street level, and that will lead to more exchange of ideas between them. So based on this idea, right, if you ever notice, it's actually implemented on the design element. So small things like even the height of the curbs along the streets, okay, they are actually reduced in terms of the height to make it easy for pedestrians to cross the road compared to normal roads. That means they want people to actually walk around the place. And therefore, One North is planned into 8 zones, which I will elaborate a little more on the next slide. And there's a park that cuts across these zones. Over here, we call it the One North Linear Park. It's actually like a hot place in Singapore, right? People don't usually walk from the edge of the park all the way until the middle, because it's hot and the walk is long. And that's why the park is being done up in a linear way so that more people can access it and use the shelters and trees along the park. It's much easier to make a usable park this way. Coming to the precincts of One North, we have about 8 of them. The first one we have seen from the previous pictures is Biopolis. Biopolis is Singapore's first hub for R&D and biomedical sciences. The second one is the one in blue here, which is Fusionopolis. That comprises of infocoms, laboratory, science, engineering. Essentially, Fusionopolis, right, actually is a fusion of different skill sets and capabilities. And of the third area is Mediapolis, where Bloomsbury Residences is. This area consists of digital media, broadcasting, and we have MediaCorp campus over here, along with traditional media outlets like Disney, Viacom, Pearson. The fourth one is JTC Launchpad, so-called the Silicon Valley over here. So this started in 2011 at Block 71. This place comprises of a lot of startups. We also have Timber Plus. That's actually a main gathering makan place to unwind and network, after work. And over at the fifth one, we have Nepal Hills. So that also have the black and white colonial bungalows. Over this area is more about leadership and talent development. So we have companies like Unilever, the training school is here, as well as we have the ESSEC Business School. And then just right in front of Bloomsbury Residences, we have the Wessex. Actually, I'm not so sure how to pronounce this name. I'm just going to call it Wessex. And Wessex consists of 58 black and white colonial houses, which also house some of the residential, F&B and offices in this area. And of course, nearer to the Buona Vista MRT, we have the Star Vista, which is at the Vista area. They opened in 2012, comprising of retail. Lastly, we have the Ayer Rajah area. So this place is actually earmarked as a cluster for emerging technologies. So for One North, to travel around, there's actually a One North on-demand shuttle service. And you can actually plan your trip ahead of schedule. There's actually a lot of bus that carries you around the One North area, Over to Star Vista or even King Mall Market and Holland Drive Market. And not to mention, just now I also said that Bloomsbury will have a shuttle bus that brings you to One North MRT. To have an overview of this location, this part of Singapore is actually filled with a lot of schools, industries, business nodes. And if we look at the surrounding areas, right, let's say for example, eastwards of this cluster, okay, I've highlighted certain parts. This is the cluster that we were talking about just now. Okay, you can see, right, actually even for the eastwards, right, there's not a lot of houses around actually. And even nearby, like for example in the Pasir Panjang area, all these are low-rise condos, okay, which means that lesser people stay here. And over nearer to the Dempsey side, for landed houses, the density is even lower. So really the number of people staying here from the eastwards is only just these areas. Okay, but if you compare it to the size of the industries and the business nodes and the hospitals and the schools around here, it's really just a small proportion only. And if we look around westwards, this is the most dense part surrounding this One North NUS area. Okay, but we still have a lot of low density areas as well, mainly at West Coast, Faber Walk, and towards the north we have like Mount Sinai area, So this part is actually the densest part that is close to NUS 1 North. And honestly, I can see from the map lah, the number of housing here actually is still quite little one. And northwards of the NUS area, 1 North area, okay, even Singapore Polytechnic is here. Most of them are actually low density housing more towards the north, because when we hit north, we are actually at the Holland Village area, we are at the Bukit Timah area. That's the reason why I feel that government has opened up the Old Holland area, the Holland Plains area to have more housing. Because nearby these industries, there's actually not a lot of housing. So basically what it means is that more people can stay nearby lah. And people working here, they actually have to travel quite far to get to this place to work. And if we compare this kind of density with other areas, I have used, for example, Toa Payoh here, Toa Payoh Balestier. This site is quite empty. Okay, from what I know, they're actually going to redevelop the old police academy into new houses in future. Okay, but generally, you can see from here that there's a good amount of houses near to where people are working or even studying. Okay, and if I bring over to the Punggol area, you can see it's very, very packed. So coming back to the 1 North area, the West Coast, the NUS area, really I feel that there is not enough housing. Okay, so coming back to the master plan, you can see the surrounding areas of 1 North. Okay, a lot of economic activity is expanding, but yet the density around this area is still very low in terms of housing. That's why I felt that they actually announced more housing to be made, and why not do it in 1 North area itself? So this site over here is actually belongs to Bloomsbury, and these areas have also been rezoned to be areas that can house residential units as well. Because this area as of now, you don't have so many shops around. You do have a lot of F&B and supermarkets, but to have more shops and to have more vibrancy, they have actually zoned the houses here to be mixed commercial and residential. So people staying here, they will get to enjoy more convenience as well. Just now, we actually mentioned that there is actually not enough housing. And you don't be surprised that in Singapore, right, a lot of land that is zoned this and that, we actually don't know when will they touch this kind of land one. And not only 1 North is like that, the whole Singapore is also like that. So for example, let's say they have zoned this area to be residential. When will they touch? We don't know. We really don't know. And it's not just unique to 1 North area. In a lot of places in Singapore, they actually zone like that as well. So we really cannot predict when will the houses be built unless they are already announced by the government. Therefore, I feel it's not very accurate to say that, hey, houses are going to be built here. It is true, but the land zoning can also change. And at the same time, we also don't know when will they be actually starting to build these residential units. As I mentioned earlier on, in Singapore, a lot of places are like that. So it's best to stick to plans that are already being put in place. Okay, finally, we're here at the developers. Bloomsbury Residences is actually being developed by Qingjian and 4C. If you don't know Qingjian, they have already been quite long in Singapore. They've done many projects. And just this January, they have actually celebrated their 25th year anniversary here in Singapore. And 4C is actually a Fortune 500 builder. So Qingjian started as a subcon, slowly promoted to main con, and their maiden project as a developer was actually the DBSS at Bishan, Natura Loft. And thereafter, in the 2011 to 2014 period, they actually did a lot of Northeast EC projects, as we can see. And moving on to 2017, they built condos like Jadescape. We have Foret and LeQuest as well. Foret just received his TOP a couple of months back. I actually want to show you some actual images. I've been to Foret before and Jadescape, but both times I forgot to take a picture. So these are contributions from Google Maps. You can see over here for Foret. Okay, it's nicely built up. Landscaping is actually very nice as well. That's what Qingjian is good for. And over at Jadescape. Okay, so I feel that these are very good representations of the product and the developer compared to just artist impressions. And if you have any other condo pictures from other developers, maybe you can send to me so that I can use them next time for other project reviews or even resale reviews. If you didn't know, right, Jadescape actually came out in the news. So this penthouse actually on the 23rd floor sold for 10.15 million in the resale market. In terms of annualized gain, it's about 15% per year. And this is a 6-bedroom penthouse. Maybe you'll be thinking, hey, who will actually pay $10 million for a condo, right? But true enough, it actually happened. There's a reason why. Maybe I'll use another video to explain. But coming back to Bloomsbury, we also have 2 stacks of such 6-bedroom units, penthouse. Besides the penthouse, it's not the only unit that has done well. Another 5-bedroom on the 10th floor of Jadescape also sold for 4.42 million in the resale market. So this to me shows two things. Firstly is, I think that the developer is okay lah, you know, for resale buyers to actually pay $4 to $10 million for a resale product. It shows that the development has good enough quality. And number two, as we have seen from the picture just now, I think in terms of the quality, at least for the facade and all, it looks very nice. So there's a very high chance that Bloomsbury will enjoy that kind of quality buildings and finishings for this project. On to the project details. We have 3 blocks comprising of 23rd story, 21 story, and 14 stories. So in total, there are 3 blocks comprising of 358 units. I am a little disappointed that the car park only has 143 car parks. Maybe it's part of one-off plans to go car light over in this area. So I guess maybe you have to ride bicycles over in this area lah. And for Bloomsbury, we don't have any 1-bedroom. It starts from 2-bed, 1-bath above. We can see over here the unit mix is actually quite well balanced between the 2 bedrooms as well as the 3 bedrooms and above. So it's about half-half. Okay. We also do have 8 penthouses over here, but they are single level penthouse, not the double story penthouse that usually you see in the resale market, especially for the older condos. Here are some perspectives from Bloomsbury Residences itself. This is more towards the southern views, so views towards this side. You can see the southern seashore as well as Cambridge Park from here. Okay, but just take note, over the left side here, it is already zoned for another housing with commercial downstairs. Over at the right side here, this part, if I'm not wrong, is zoned for business. And then this part over here should be zoned for under the white side, but the plot ratio is quite low. If I recall, it's about 0.8 plot ratio. And then moving on to the northern views. Over here, you get a lot of greens. And you also get to see the sky and a lot of tall buildings lah. Okay. To be honest, over at the northern view, right, since the black and white houses are already there, I think that whether or not the unit is on the high floor or low floor, I feel that it doesn't really matter a lot. Later, if I have a chance, let me show you my house and the view. I currently stay on the 2nd floor, and actually there's not much blockage in front as well. So this could be potentially a view or a vibe that's very similar to the units that will be facing north towards the Wessex estate. Okay, so I'll show you how it looks like from my house. Oh yeah. Right, I'll just step out. So I'm actually staying on 2nd floor, and you can see the views from my house. I think it's quite decent, right? So what I see are low rises in front together with the sky. Okay, so to me, I feel low floor is still okay because I get a different kind of vibe and a different kind of view. Okay, so coming back to the video. The third view over here, this one is more towards the east and towards the facilities. This one will be facing over to the Alexandra side, and here you get more of a greenery view as well. Okay, but over here we can always see the BTOs construction progress over here. Okay, in future what they're going to build here, I'm not sure. Okay, but as of now, I feel even within the project itself over here, there's good setback in terms of the distance clearance to the next building, so it's still okay and it's not facing west. This is the facade of the building as well as how the area looks like from the north. So the northern views will be towards this side. Southern views will be behind. And then the eastern view will be here. Take note once again, we do have shops over here downstairs. This will be on the 1st floor. And then the condo will actually be starting from the 2nd floor onwards. Okay. If you have been to condos like Sterling Residences, Park Clementi's, they actually don't have ground floor units. Even those in the West Coast, like for example, Twinview, Whistler Grand, right? And when you step on the facilities level, right, I'm quite sure you will feel very breezy. One of the main reasons here is because, as I mentioned, there is no ground floor units here. That leaves a lot of space for the wind to flow through. So we will have wind flowing this side, at the bottom of the block, this side, this side, this side, and coming from the front also is not very blocked. So I expect that when eventually Bloomsbury Residences TOP, when I step over to the facilities, probably I'll feel very windy when I stand maybe near to the pool area. The design concept for Bloomsbury Residences, so you can see situated uniquely between the colonial history of Wessex and the forward-looking One North district. So Bloomsbury Residences seamlessly unites these contrasting yet interconnected worlds, drawing inspiration from its namesake, London's renowned intellectual and literary district. According to Qingjian's managing director, Mr. Tu, Okay, to him, Media Circle is unique as it's surrounded by many black and white colonial houses, and having the headquarters of companies like Grab, MediaCorp, and schools like the INSEAD Business School, Tanglin Trust School, this multinational environment of One North reminded Mr. Tu of his time studying at UCL, University College London. And this UCL campus is actually in Bloomsbury, near landmarks like the British Library, the Senate House Library, the British Museum, parks, and a weekly farmers market. So actually, after they won this Media Circle GLS site, which is Bloomsbury now, I think he already had the idea of naming this project Bloomsbury somehow. So indeed, drawing inspirations from the English and colonial architecture that we see from the black and white houses in the Wessex estate, as well as the name itself, plus giving it a modern luxury twist. Here we can see the clubhouse looking just like that. These lines and columns here, they actually look very similar to the black and white houses over here. Okay, but for the clubhouse, they actually use more glass. This is the view from the Bloomsbury lobby towards the pool and the veranda. I like that the ceilings are high over here. Okay, this makes the space feels very generous and welcoming. You know, you go to certain hotels where the lobby is very high, you will feel that this place is actually like, feels very big and feels very welcoming. Okay, even more so, right, when you see that you can actually put trees over here. Okay, basically what it means, right, is that when I'm standing over here, I feel very small. And that will make me feel like, wow, actually this project, or rather this place that I'm at, maybe there's a certain scale, there's a certain generosity to it. For the pool area, based on this, all these are based on my own interpretations, but we have received materials on the inspirations. So for the pool area, okay, I think very likely is based on the holiday resort concept. So here you get very clean lines. Okay, I love lines that are clean like that. You have deck chairs, you have water, you have trees. And then the whole place is like very welcoming. Okay, same thing for Bloomsbury. You have the deck chairs here, you have very clean lines, you have the pool, you have trees, and it's very welcoming. Okay, and just now I also mentioned that because they have no ground floor units, right? And these areas are actually very high. Okay, high until below can put trees. So that means that this area will enjoy very, very good ventilation. Plus it's being exposed. So I think that you will feel very, very breezy in this area, which makes it very comfortable. Remember just now, we talked about the master plan of One North, right? The goal is to increase the chance of people interacting at the street level, correct? So level 1 is where the shops are. In fact, for a lot of projects in One North, in level 1, there are also a lot of shops that are open to the public. Okay, so these shops are open to all. You can see over here. Only from level 2 onwards is where the residents are granted access to this area. Okay. For the interior, the design of the inside, okay, they're actually inspired by sort of like a spa resort where they actually use a lot of neutral tones, color tones like beige, cream, you get dark brown, all these kind of colors. And that's why the design used in the house, like the flooring of the living room, the dining, they are all travertine look-alike patterns. And for the wet areas like the kitchen, the yard and the balcony, they're actually using slip-resistant tiles in the area with the same color. So for this kind of location, right, I feel that it's important to give good quality fittings here. And thankfully over here we see that they're using very nice brands like Exor, Gaborit for the bathrooms, and then we do get Miele and Snack as well. And in keeping with One North's high-tech identity, Qingjian will actually deploy robots at Bloomsbury residences to clean up the common areas and the swimming pool. They will also be delivering parcels to the residents and even collect tennis balls at the tennis court. For Bloomsbury residences, I think if I'm not wrong, it is the only condo in One North to have a tennis court. So if you are looking for tenants of a certain profile, okay, probably this tennis court is something that the other condos cannot offer. So you will be able to attract a different tenant. This is the site plan. And just to orientate again, okay, in front over here is the Wessex. And then MediaCorp is here. Over here at the right is the future land. So the vehicles will come in via this way, in and out. And then we have a side gate here out as well. So take note that 50% of the units get to enjoy all the lines, landscaping and the Wessex estate in front. And take note that this condo is on raised ground, meaning that everything starts from level 2 onwards, including the pool, the gym and all, and the residential units, they actually start from 3rd floor onwards. Just now we've seen that the pool level to the first residential unit on top is actually quite high, and then this one is on the 3rd floor. So technically if you compare this 3rd floor to the street level, actually it's around 5th floor already. So 3rd floor to me is actually still acceptable. And on the ground floor, which is open to public, okay, we do have like the retail zones here. Okay, you even have like playground, you have the paw pet wash, and then the bicycle parking is here as well. And on the level 2, the condo level, we have the service desk, the Bloomsbury lobby. We have 2 clubhouses here, together with 2 BBQ pavilions. For me, the BBQ pits are actually quite far away from the blocks, which I like. We also have the co-working terrace, private work pods, and the reading lounge. So they are here. Not forgetting the tennis court. And then we have the gym. For kids, they also have a family play area and pets area as well. All residents will get to enjoy the roof garden at block 65 and 61. Okay, you get to soak in the nice views during their yoga sessions or the BBQs lah. Okay, finally we are at the floor plans, starting with the 2-bed 1-bath. And for this project, as you have known, we are actually not near the MRT. So my question is near MRT important or not? Or are there any other critical factors that we miss out? Because sometimes we actually focus too much on one thing that we end up we become blindsided. Because of this, we miss out on other good deals because we are too narrow looking already in terms of our criteria. And on the contrary, I'm not sure what strategies you are using to buy your house now. But if you are just based on the location and the PSF, right, I will worry for you when it comes to exiting whatever you need to buy next time. Why? Because it's very easy to buy things, but the real challenge, right, is when you need to exit, when you need to sell the house, and all the pricings comes in. That's where the challenge comes. To find the closest example to One North, I try to find something that is in the west, preferably near a working zone and not near MRT. So I'll be using units at the west coast. Over here, we can see the workplace is around here. Okay, and over here we have 3 condos. We have Twin View, 2021 TOP with 520 units. We have Park Rivera, 2019 TOP, 752 units. And then we have Whistler Grand, 716 units, TOP 2022. And these are about 1.5 kilometers away from the MRT over here. It's very hard to walk that one, okay? And then we have Park Clementis here. Among the different condos that I've said just now, Park Clementis is the newest TOP, 2023, 2024. So this one has 1468 units. Okay, and the MRT is 593 meters away. We can see over here the West Coast unit, these 3 projects, total add up is more than the number of units in Park Clementis already. Here are the details for the 2-bedroom units. Okay, so Whistler Grand, 716 units. Twin View, 520 units. Park Rivera, 752 units. Very often when we think about investment, right, we always think that the property has to be very near MRT, for example. But have we ever asked ourselves, right, why does the property need to be near MRT? Is it because the MRT is to facilitate people to travel, to move around, and then end of the day, they actually spend traveling to where? To work, So if you are already near or if you are already within walking distance to your workplace, does the MRT really matter or not? Okay, because you can see here in terms of the rental, for example, in West Coast, okay, which is very far from MRT, okay, at least 1.5 kilometers, 1.3 kilometers to MRT, I can have units that have a higher rental price on average compared to the one that's nearer to MRT. Okay, I also can have a higher per square foot rental compared to the one at Park Clementis. Here is 5.81. Over here at Whistler Grand, mine is 6.09. And my Whistler Grand is actually older and further away from MRT, I want to understand, right, whether is there any difference between these. When I examine the rental for Whistler Grand, you can see at a certain time frame, right? For example, here in February 2025, okay? The rental per square foot here, compared to Park Clementis, February, actually is quite comparable in terms of the rental PSF, okay? And even in January and in December, okay? The one for Whistler Grand, in fact, it can be even higher than those in Park Clementis. So for investment for 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, is being near MRT important or not? It is lah, but I also have to urge that you have to depend where on the projects are, whether are we near any work nodes or not. Because if we are, maybe the tenant don't even need to use MRT. So for Bloomsbury 2-bed 1-bath, we have 2 stacks here at stack 3 and stack 14. Okay, early on we already saw from nearby places. I really feel that, especially in the west, the location to MRT, be it West Coast or One North, to me is not the most important when it comes to 2-bedroom rental. I will examine more on the pricing in the next slide. Okay, but you can see from here it's a very efficient layout, 2-bed 1-bath, and then I have ensuite access over to the bathroom from either the master bedroom and from the living room as well. Not much space wastage in terms of the walkway. So I feel that this layout is very efficient. We can see from here, based on the One North projects, there are actually no 2-bed 1-bath in One North as of now. Okay, and there's either 1+ study or 2-bed 2-bath. Okay, so most important thing about this kind is the pricing. You can see that the size difference between the 1+ study and the 2-bed 1-bath in these Bloomsbury residences, right? Blossoms by the Park is already 570 square feet. So the difference of size between the 1+ study and the 2-bed 1-bath to me is actually not a lot, especially if it's just 20 square feet. Okay, means the price for me to top up from a 1+ study to 2-bed 1-bath here, right? The price top up may actually be not too much. And also later on, the next slide, we will see what is the difference in terms of the rental pricing. So if they price the 2-bed 1-bath around the 1.45 mark here, right? I think I will seriously consider, because it's very close to the average price of these Blossoms by the Park already. Coming to the rental, right now I'm using One North Eden as reference. So this is the 1+ study, and then this one is One North Eden 2-bed 2-bath. Okay, my thinking the 1-bedroom plus study rental price, okay, I see average is around 3,850. Okay, in fact it can be higher, 3,900, 4,000, whatever. Okay, and then the 2-bed 2-bath over here is around 4,900. To keep it fair, okay, since Bloomsbury is not near MRT, even though it's newer, I will tone one level down. So this is how I do my pricing in terms of the rental. Maybe you can watch and learn as well. So 2-bed 2-bath over here is around 4,900 average. So for me, because the size is also quite similar, so how I will gauge the pricing for Bloomsbury, okay, as I mentioned, since it's not near the MRT, right, maybe my rental could be in the range of 4,600 to 4,800 for 2-bed 2-bath Bloomsbury. Okay, this one is MRT lah. And from there, I can actually do my pricing for the 2-bed 1-bath. So the 2-bed 1-bath naturally will command a higher rental compared to 1+ study, correct? So around here, probably 2-bed 1-bath Bloomsbury, I will give it a price of about 4,300 to 4,500. Okay, so all these are actually based on today's pricing because we don't forget that the One North area is constantly being expanded, being built up. So actually more people will be looking to work here. Okay, but I'm just taking for today's rate. So for example, like for the rental yield for One North Eden 1-bedroom, 1+ study, okay, 3,850. To find rental yield, I times 12 in terms of 1 year, and then I divide by the average price of 1.261 million. So let me just key inside the calculator. 3,850 times 12 divided by 1.261. So rental yield here is about 3.66%. Okay, if I use Bloomsbury's 2-bed 1-bath, taking an average of 4,000 for 4,004 now, 四四大顺 for a 2-bed 1-bath, okay, times 12, and then maybe I divide by a price of about 1.43 million. Okay, it's about 3.69%. So will it seem attractive to investor or not? It probably will. But let's say if we are talking about being able to rent out, probably people will prefer the 2-bed 2-bath. It will be easier to rent out. But in terms of the yield, right, the 2-bed 1-bath will actually give you better yield. Coming on for the 2-bed 2-bath, okay, there's actually a bit of a pattern we see over here. And for One North Eden, right, in One North area, we notice something. Okay, is that for the 2-bed 2-bath, right, the 689 square feet, the 786 and the 764 square feet, the size, right, generally the rental, right, is actually not too much difference. So we can see here, the range of 5,000, 5,001, right, is actually around the same price as some of the units here that is of 700 plus square feet as well. If we zoom in a bit more and actually look at the layouts and the facings, right, you can see that the per square foot rental for the smaller unit generally is higher. Okay, how do we observe that? Same thing, we see the same time period of December. Okay, let's say if I'm a tenant, if I have a choice, I'll go and see the 689 square feet and I'll also see the 786 square feet, correct? So during that period, okay, the PSF rental transacted is actually higher than that of the bigger unit. Okay, and even for November, you can see that the rental PSF is higher. So why is this so? Okay, is it the rental yield or what? Okay, my first observation about this is that I saw that the kitchen is actually tucked in over here. Okay, that is one main difference in the layout compared to the 786 and the 764 square feet, which doesn't have a tuck-in kitchen. Then, of course, we examine some of the other projects nearby as well. So again, we saw in One North Residences, for 2 bedrooms again, actually it's the same thing. because I just want to double check whether is it you know, do I see the same pattern nearby or not. So you can see the right side layout 1033 square feet, 1012 square feet. Okay, same thing, they also have an open kitchen here. This one is open kitchen. Okay, and the right side over here is tuck-in kitchen. Okay, so just now for One North Eden, we saw that the smaller unit command a higher per square foot. Okay, and over here in One North Residences, the bigger unit actually command a higher per square foot rental. Okay, so from here, to me, my conclusion is, okay, I should get something that have a tuck-in kitchen, because in terms of my returns for the rental, I probably get more bang for buck because my per square foot rental is higher. So same thing for the same period, October here, we can see the rental per square foot, comparing, July, comparing, and for April. The PSF generally is higher, even though this unit is actually bigger. Okay, but take note, right, you cannot apply this at other location because the trend is seen only for here at One North area. For other areas, the tenants or the buyers may have different preference based on the location and the development. So when it comes to Bloomsbury, right, it's at the same area ma. So I think you already know what I will prefer in terms of the 2-bed 2-bath layout lah. We have 3 kinds of 2-bed 2-bath layouts. We have 646, 678, and 2+ study coming at 689 square feet. So this first one at 646 is a lumber layout at stack 2 and stack 15. Okay, and then you can see here. And the common bedroom here, we also have the jet and Jill access to the common bath, which is a very nice touch for this layout. This will be the second 2-bed 2-bath layout at 678 square feet, located at stack 4 and stack 13. So these are the corner units that they have the same facing as the previous 646 square feet layout. Okay, over here beside the DB box, right, you can actually install a shoe cabinet here. Okay, in fact, you can make this whole place into one shoe cabinet lah. Just make sure that the electrical box is still inside. And this is a conventional layout, as we term it. The master bedroom is actually quite far away from the living room lah. Some people like it, some people don't. They like it because it provides more privacy. As mentioned, because this is a corner unit, so all the bathrooms will get windows that will help with the ventilation of the place. But this one, moving on, now we come to the 2+ study. 2+ study, we have 4 stacks, and this facing, right, is the only 2-bedroom facing that faces towards the Wessex estate. Actually, right, I might seriously consider this layout because this facing is different, and in my opinion, this is a very good facing because the smaller 904 square feet 3-bedroom layout does not face this direction. So I will seriously consider this stack or this layout, but of course we have to assess other factors in play depending on your situation. So we have very little wastage space for this unit. Basically, when we come inside this house, it's already the unit. Okay, and the study space here is so spacious. So maybe what I will do is I will shift the dining here, and then this area instead, I will probably convert into like a work desk area. Okay, and some people even say this study area can be like a play area for the kids. Moving on for 3 bedrooms, right? If you think that this place is the bird don't lay egg one, if this place basically 鸟不生蛋, you are not the only one who thinks this way lah. But is it really true? In terms of whether people buy for own stay here, maybe what we can do is to investigate whether or not this place is more for own stay or more for investors when it comes to 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. And also whether can you really actually consider this place for own stay. Let's find out. Over here, we have 2 condos separately in River Valley and Orchard. I will not put the name of the condos here, but I just want you to focus on these things. You can see, right, these 3 bedrooms, the yield is very comparable to the 2 bedrooms. But the annualized return, right, from here, for the 3 bedrooms is actually lower than the 2 bedrooms. And same thing for the Orchard one. The bigger unit type do not appreciate as much as the smaller unit type. Why? Because not as many people want to buy this place for own stay here for these 2 condos. So they are not willing to so-called pay a higher price as fast as the 2 bedrooms, for example. It's very strange, right? You can see the rental yield here actually is quite high, but the annualized gain is not a lot. So definitely, therefore from here, you can actually see how do the investment units behave when it comes to selling off to the next buyer. When we come to the one-off area, right, or even other areas, if people buy for own stay, generally the price for the 3 bedroom and 4 bedroom will actually go up faster than the smaller units like the 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom. So you can see here, even though the rental yield, right, for the 3 bedrooms is not high, but yet, right, the price growth is actually faster compared to the other smaller unit types. Okay, and the 4 bedrooms, even scarier. You can see people are willing to pay so much higher in the resale and subsale market, even for rental. Okay, later I'll show you more. And for Rochester residences, the returns are actually higher for the bigger units as well. Then maybe we come to another place, same, quite close to Bloomsbury, but not near MRT. Okay, because even not near MRT like Momentum Park, you can see the PSF for the bigger units, right, they're actually sold at a higher PSF than the smaller units in terms of the per square foot. In fact, when they buy from the developer, right, the average PSF they buy, right, also is higher one. So why people are willing to pay this kind of prices from developer and even in the resale market is because they want to buy for own stay one. Okay, you can see even here the rental yield for the 3 bedrooms, right, it's not good one. So people are actually paying a higher price per square foot, even though the rental yield is not as high. That means that people want to stay here, in my opinion lah. And why do people stay in a place without MRT? Or rather, what do people look out for in places where there's no MRT nearby? Because a lot of times, we are so focused on MRT that we actually overlook other factors lah. And for own stay, maybe you need the MRT, but there are also people who don't mind taking the bus because the bus stop can be just very near the house. Okay, so for them, maybe they don't need to sweat. Maybe they walk 3 minutes to the bus stop compared to walking 10 minutes to the MRT. They will choose the bus stop. Okay, and some of them, they actually drive. So the location of this place itself, right, is more important than the bus stop or the MRT. In fact, actually staying near MRT can be quite a noisy place lah, because there's always a lot of people traveling in and out of the area ma. Okay, so what are the other factors that we want to consider if the place is not near MRT? Okay, things like development quality, the price of the unit is very important. Okay, and if not near MRT, I'm sure the layout, the views, and even the privacy is very important for people staying here, because they don't want to stay near places where a lot of people are around ma. So definitely at this kind of place, I would value, if you leave it to me lah, to me the views, the layout, and the privacy is very important. So one of them is privacy, as we have shown. I'll just use 2 to 3 case studies here to show you. Over here, we're looking at this example, right? We have 2 units of similar 3-bedroom layout. One is stack 64, and then one is stack 20. Okay, so if we look back, stack 64 is actually looking out here. And then we have stack 20. So stack 64 faces the facilities and the other blocks, while stack 20 is facing towards the park. Okay, so stack 20, literally, right, you really cannot see inside your house one, especially for the bedrooms. And for stack 20, right, they actually sold at a higher PSF, even though it's on the lower floor. Okay, so what's the price gain when it actually eventually resold in the resale market, right? The price increase is, let me key my calculator again. Okay, so the price increase is 367 per square foot. And then for this one, the difference adds up to be 353. Actually, for 64, it's still a good facing. It's just that given a choice, between privacy or pool, both units still make money lah. But what I'm trying to tell you here is, people are willing to pay more if they get privacy. Okay, I'm not here to say 64 is not good, because at the end of the day, 64 still earn money. But 64, your cost is lower ma. And then here is also another example, not near MRT, and then this one is at West Coast area. Okay, so if there's a unique selling point, in this case, stack 15 over here faces the Pandan Reservoir. And then, compared to stack 10, facing another condo, here is the actual difference in the view, where we get the water facing and the condo facing. Both are on the high floor. You can see for the reservoir facing, the water view facing, right, it's on the lower floor. Okay, but yet the per square foot can be sold 5% higher than this unit. Okay, and in terms of the PSF gains, it's actually $219 more. So the profit difference can be actually quite a lot if the view is actually the selling point for that condo itself. And even for the other levels here, like 0410, they buy cheaper. Same thing, they sell cheaper lor. Okay, but other people here, 1515 for example, they buy higher, they also sell higher. Okay, so it can be very tricky. Sometimes you are thinking whether you want to pay high because you may not be able to sell high. Okay, and then over here we see that actually buy high, people pay higher. So it's very important to understand why people are buying this project. What is the reason for them for choosing 3 bedrooms of this project? And then if you understand that, and if there's any unique selling point, then you'll be able to better pinpoint whether is it worth it to pay more or not. Coming back to Bloomsbury 3 bedrooms, okay, for this 904 square feet, I really like the layout and the size, okay, because this size of 904, okay, it will give me a very, very nice and sweet price quantum, which I find very, very important in today's market. In fact, for the pricing, as of today, I think they have already released it. This unit starts from 2.166. Okay, so even though the facing is not my preferred but wow, the price 2.166. For now, RCR, the balance unit is really 2.376. So I will seriously consider because of the price. And since coming back to this layout, since these are corner units, so you get plenty of good ventilation in terms of having windows around the house, even at the kitchen as well. You will start to notice, right, in terms of the bedroom walls, and a lot of the walls start to be hackable. Okay, last time I think due to COVID, for PPVC project, that means the government land sales, the way they build have to be PPC. Most of the time the walls are not hackable, okay, because probably during COVID they have to actually build the units from overseas and then they ship over here. So they want the things to be really solid and the walls in between you cannot hack. But since COVID is long over, right, nowadays I start to notice that for PPVC project, certain walls is actually hackable already. And for this one, you actually have a small study space here. Okay, I think I will use it as a storage area more than a study space, and it's very helpful to use it as a storeroom, especially if you're looking to sell to HDB upgraders where most of them are already very used to having a storeroom in the house. Moving on to the 3 bedrooms premium. So these 3 layouts here, stack 11, 980 square feet. Stack 5, also 980 square feet. And then stack 10, 990 square feet. Just take note that the distance between these two blocks, right, they are actually very close. Okay, and for stack 10, some of the units face this way, and for stack 5, some of the units also face this way. So block 63 is up to 14th floor, and block 61 is up to 23rd floor. Okay, so for better views, you know which level to choose now. In terms of the layout, if I just look at the floor plan itself, okay, one thing about the home shelter is my personal preference. Okay, I prefer the home shelter to be horizontal like that, rather than vertical like that. Why do I say so? For example, let me take this stack 5. Firstly, if the door is here, there is actually more privacy if I choose to house my helper here, because she can rest her head here, then her body can lie down like that. Right? But let's say if the bomb shelter is vertical, then technically when the door is open, right, I can actually look in directly to the whole place. So for me, that's the reason why I prefer the landscape layout for the bomb shelter. And just happened that for stack 5, right, this bomb shelter entrance also happened to be at the corner of the kitchen rather than in the middle. In terms of the layout for the bomb shelter, I will prefer stack 5, and I feel more comfortable if my helper is using this layout instead. Okay, layout itself also, the living room is slightly bigger than the others, as well as my master bedroom is also bigger than this unit over here. Okay, so for stack 11 and stack 10, you do get a bigger and longer kitchen. But my worry is that this kitchen might be a little dark because we just have a window over here. And then the rest, right, is depending on the gap here already. So this area, if it's covered, even not covered, is very narrow, very little sunlight can actually come in. Whereas for stack 5, if this is a glass panel, then you have a lot of sunlight coming into the unit. As for the 3 bedrooms plus flex layout, this is the most unique facing among the 3 bedrooms here because we are facing this way, eastwards. And over here, as I mentioned, there's a very, very good setback. This unit does not have west sun. I feel east sun is still okay. Furthermore, I get to enjoy this dry kitchen, which only the 4 bedroom has. And furthermore, the smaller 4 bedrooms, right, the 1173 and the 1206 square feet, you are unable to make the living room into a landscape and living layout. But for this 3 bedroom flex, you can actually remove this wall to make the living room wider in a landscape format. And then the master bedroom wardrobe is also sunken in here. So the bedroom might feel a bit wider in terms of the space here compared to the previous layouts that we saw. Okay, previous layout we saw the wall is here, the wardrobe is built on top. Okay, but this one actually is already inside. Now my question is, right, at this size of 1098 square feet, okay, I just need to top up another 80 square feet more to get the 4 bedrooms at 1173 square feet. So the question, right, is whether is it worth it to top up to pay for 4 bedrooms here. Okay, but as I cautioned earlier on, right, different areas perform differently, the buyers behave differently. So now my question is it worth it to buy a 1173 square feet 4 bedrooms layout or not? That we have to understand. And then we also need to know what kind of 4 bedroom layouts are more popular in One North. Before we proceed, I just want to let you know one thing, is that in the One North area, there are actually still foreigners and PR buying in this area. You can see for One North Eden, right, back then when they launched, it was already 20% ABSD for foreigners. And then 3.26% of the buyers are actually foreigners there. After the ABSD increase for foreigners in 2023, it has become 60%. And we can see for Blossoms by the Park, right, the percentage of foreign purchase is actually higher at 4.67% and even higher at Hills at One North. The Hill at One North, which is 6.9%. Okay, and long time ago for One North residences, 10.66% foreigners. Okay, for Hill at One North, we even have company purchase, 1.72%. Okay, take note, for company purchase, the ABSD is 65%, not 60%. So why I want to show you just now that slide, right, is not just to show you that foreigners are buying here. I also want to let you know that for bigger units, right, people are actually willing to pay more. So in this case, for One North Eden, which is just TOP. The 4 bedrooms at 1259 square feet. In the resale market, people are paying 2002, 2001 per square foot. But the bigger 4 bedrooms unit at 1004 square feet. Okay? In fact, in the resale market, they are actually paying more per square foot for these units at 2003. So why is this so? When we zoom into the layout, actually for the 1410 and the 1259 square feet, this one is at 1 North Eden. Now you can see that the layout is actually mostly the same, even for the facing. But the fact is, the person who buy here, most likely they really want to feel comfortable. So they don't mind to pay more for the master bedroom. Even though this unit is bigger, and even though the PSF is higher also, they are willing to pay more for this unit. Okay, because generally the living room is same style. Okay, we have a dry kitchen over here. Okay, and the wet kitchen may be slightly bigger. Master bedroom bigger, but the rest of the house is very similar in terms of the size and the layout. So people are actually paying more for these. Comparing these two Bloomsbury 4 bedroom layout, both of them look very different, but they also look the same. Okay, so for this layout, what I like here is that stack 9, all the rooms are along the same line. But this layout here, this room is slightly behind, and it's the master bedroom. But luckily, there's a window over here, so overall the room will still be bright. Okay, and as we mentioned just now, I prefer this home shelter. And my personal preference, I prefer the wet kitchen, the dry kitchen to be nearer to the wet kitchen for this layout. So in terms of layout, right, to me it's like this one have this good point, that one have that good point also. It's very hard for me to pinpoint like which one is better. But if we talk about facing, then facing wise, I definitely prefer something with more privacy. This is the 1421 square feet, stack 8 and stack 17. For the 4 bedrooms, compared to the other two, this 1421 square feet will be my preferred layout. I think that there's affluence among the buyers here. I'm not saying that the other 4 bedrooms cannot buy. I'm just saying that the preference in the resale market, people don't mind paying more for this. Okay, because for the smaller units, the advantage is that the size is small, so the quantum is also lower. But for this 1421 square feet, right, I'm quite clear who is my target audience, who am I going to sell it to. Okay, and for this unit, I even have a private lift. I got a nice big bedroom over here. And I will likely hack away this flex room to give me this landscape layout, which I did not find in the previous two layouts over here. Okay, the previous two layouts, they don't have the landscape layout. The facing of the units here are also very decent. So this is actually my top choice for the 4 bedrooms. For Bloomsbury, what I like is that they have several different sizes of penthouse. We have 4 bedroom penthouse, we have 5 bedrooms penthouse, we have 6 bedroom penthouse as well. And the best part is that all these penthouses are single level. So I think that it will be much more acceptable for future buyers who are looking at big sizes but require a single level floor plate. So for the 4 bedrooms penthouse, okay, this layout is very nice, it's very unique. You have a very wide and deep living and dining area, and then the storeroom is at another side also, which is away from the kitchen, and the kitchen is also very big. For the 5 bedroom penthouse, right, we have 4 different stacks. Over here, I show you 3 stacks only. Okay, the last one will be at the next slide. And I think that this design is actually quite clever, because when you see most of the new launches, right, very often their master bedroom is very big. But there's one problem. The junior master, right, is very small. So some of them end up never buying the so-called the bigger units. Why? It's because the junior bedroom too small. Remember, right, last time the PPVC projects, they can't really hack the wall in between to make the master bed. They can't really hack the wall in between to make the junior master bedroom bigger, because they want a bigger second master bedroom. So at Bloomsbury, we don't have this problem because they actually situate another common bedroom beside this junior suite for these two layouts as well. Since this is a non-load bearing wall, right, I can actually remove this wall. And then this whole area becomes my big second junior master. Secondly, there's a very nice hosting area at the dry kitchen. Personally, I prefer the 1711 dry kitchen because I feel that the flow to the kitchen is, wet kitchen is more natural. Okay, there's a wider space for me to move around there. And for the 1668 square feet, okay, we have a study area at this corner. So what I will do is I will shift my dining table to this side. This will become my dining. And then this whole piece will become my living room instead. That is probably how I will be looking to use this space if I'm buying this unit. This is the 4th and the last 5 bedroom penthouse that I'm going to introduce today. The living room is very nice, it's very long, it's huge. You get a separate space here, which can be used as a helper's room or storeroom. And the facing of this unit is also very nice. Okay, but for the reason that I described just now, right, especially for the junior master, then I would actually prefer the 1711 layout square feet over this one. In fact, the 1711 square feet is my favorite 5-bedroom penthouse of the 4. Finally, we have come to the last layout. All I want to say regarding this layout, right, is that there's actually not much 6-bedroom supply in the one-off area. Even in West Coast area, it may be very hard to find a 6-bedroom also. And you'll be surprised at why people are willing to pay a good price for 6 bedrooms. The price can be higher than landed. Okay, you just see the J-scape just now. I showed you the article. 6 bedrooms which sold for over 10 million in the resale market, and the 5 bedrooms sold for more than 4.4 million in the resale market. Okay, but at this point, right, if you have come to the point where you can afford a 6-bedroom penthouse, I will probably recommend this unit for you to buy if you are not a citizen. Okay, if you are a Singapore citizen, feel free to discuss. There are many things we need to consider before buying a condo unit priced like this as a Singaporean. But in the resale market, generally you'll be selling it to PRs and foreigners who are unable to purchase a landed, or the very rare few Singaporeans who find it a chore to so-called buy a landed and then they rebuild. You know, sometimes the cost can add up to more than this penthouse unit lah. So buying over here, you know, it's not near MRT. We have to be very sensitive to what are the pricing trends. And you can remember Momentum Park. Okay, this one is also not near MRT, no amenities whatsoever. Everything has a price one. End of the day, Momentum Park, whether you like it or not, as of today, is 100% profitable. So you need to learn, right, how to look at pricing. Okay, and we can see here in the past, when Momentum Park launched, the price is 1789 per square foot. Okay, so that was below the average RCR price of 2115. Okay, so what comes to my mind when I see this, right? If I get this unit at 1789, do I have a buffer between this price and the average RCR price? Okay, because if I have this buffer, naturally I will find that this price is safer. Okay, so true enough, through time, right, we can find that now it is trading above $2,000 per square foot already. So in fact, the price that they sell in 2024, okay, is the price of RCR last time 3 years ago. Okay, so you buy at 1,007, the average is 2,001. You know, there's a buffer there, it's quite safe in my opinion. And 3 years later, the price that they sell is actually the RCR price back then. And for units near to MRT, for example, at the same timing, when Momentum Park launched, we also have one off Eden. Okay, definitely the price will be higher, around 1,009, because it's nearer to the MRT ma. But I still have a buffer there, even though it's lower compared to the average RCR price. If I just think about holding this property, at least I know that my rental is safe and it's easier to rent out because it's directly at One North itself. Okay, and because the land price and the launch prices in RCR have increased over the years. Okay, in fact now it's still increasing. So again, right, when I exit, there's still a buffer for me to exit when I need to sell in the future. So this is how we look at pricing when you know, we are deciding whether or not the property or the price, just based on the price alone, whether it's safe or not. Of course, there are many other factors to look out for when we're choosing units and we're choosing projects. Different areas have different buying behaviors, and different condos, different projects, there are different unit types to focus on. So we have come to the end of this presentation. I hope you like what I've showed so far. Please do give me a like and subscribe my channel, and it will give me a lot more motivation to make other videos lah. Okay, so I see you for the next video. Bye bye!